The 7 levels of movie villains explained. Every movie needs a bad guy, but not all bad guys are made equal. Some get stopped by their own conscience falling apart on a random Tuesday. Others need an entire fellowship, a volcano, and the literal end of an age to put down. So we're ranking cinema's most iconic villains from manageable personal problem to civilization-ending event. Levels 1 through 7, weakest to strongest. Let's go. Level 1, the Opportunist. Patrick Bateman is a Wall Street investment banker by day, and allegedly an axe-wielding murderer by night, though the movie spends its entire runtime daring you to decide if any of it actually happened outside his own head.
It's right.
Either way, his entire kill list is people he already knows personally, co-workers, a rival's business card, one extremely unfortunate cat owner. He murders a man over the thickness of his business card stock, which means Wall Street's scariest serial killer has, in practice, the exact same trigger threshold as a Yelp reviewer. And he gets away with it less because he's a criminal mastermind, and more because literally nobody around him is paying enough attention to notice. He doesn't hunt. He doesn't plan beyond "is tonight a good night" for it. His own confession at the very end gets actively ignored by his own lawyer. That's not a threat level, that's a cry for help with a business card. Bateman is dangerous to whoever's unlucky enough to be in the room with him. He is not, in any version of this story, dangerous to the concept of Manhattan. Level 2, the Hunter. Ghostface upgrades from opportunistic to actively stalking you, and that's the whole horror of it. Phone calls before the kill, research into your friend group, your house, your exact routine. Whoever's under the mask this time has clearly done their homework. But here's Ghostface's permanent flaw. Movie after movie, take off the mask, and it's just a teenager with a kitchen knife and some unresolved issues. No supernatural durability, no resurrection clause. Get shot, stabbed, or hit hard enough, and that particular Ghostface is done permanently. All that research, all that planning, all those phone calls, and he still loses to whatever's in the kitchen drawer. That's not a serial killer. That's the most overqualified door-to-door salesman in horror history. The franchise's entire twist engine runs on the fact that it's never the same killer twice, because none of them can actually survive their own movie. A hunter, yes. A real threat to one friend group in one town for one Halloween. Not the kind of guy you evacuate a city for. Level 3, the Kingpin. Tony Montana doesn't hunt individuals. He builds an empire, clawing his way from dishwasher to the single biggest cocaine distributor in Miami, with his own private army, his own mansion fortress, and an ego large enough to personally insult a Bolivian cartel boss to his face, on tape, and survive it. Tony built an entire empire on cocaine, paranoia, and yelling at people, which, incidentally, is also just a really bad Wall Street trading floor. That's not small time, that's controlling a regional drug economy, practically single-handedly. But notice what actually ends him. Not the DEA, not a federal raid, but his own paranoia and his own former allies turning on him, then a small army storming one mansion. Tony can take over a city's underworld. He cannot survive one bad night once that underworld decides it's done with him.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Level 4, the Conqueror. Anton Chigurh isn't chasing one target anymore. He's hunting across an entire region, Texas, the border, anyone who so much as touches a stray $2 million, armed with a cattle gun, a coin flip, and a complete absence of anything resembling a normal human motive. He kills people based on a coin flip, which is, somehow, still a more reliable decision-making process than most corporate restructuring meetings. He survives a head-on car crash through sheer force of will and walks out of a pharmacy mid-surgery on himself. The law enforcement actively chasing him spends the entire film one step behind right up until the credits roll, and he's still out there. That's not a hunter anymore. That's a force that conquers every room he walks into, cop or civilian. The only thing that nearly stops him is, ironically, also a car, and even then, the movie never actually lets you see him go down.
Alright then, keep your secrets.
Level 5, the Tyrant. The Joker doesn't want Gotham's money. He wants to personally prove the entire city's social contract is a lie, and he very nearly succeeds, blowing up a hospital, turning the city's one incorruptible district attorney into a coin-flipping nightmare, and getting half of Gotham to seriously consider blowing up a boat full of strangers just to save themselves. No superpowers, no army, just a frighteningly accurate read on exactly how thin civilization actually is.
This is fine.
deployed against an entire metropolitan population at once. That's the jump from level 4 to 5. Chigurh conquers whoever happens to be in front of him. The Joker reorganizes an entire city's psychology around his own chaos, on purpose as the actual plan.
This is fine.
And before we get into the final 2 levels, the ones where sending the army isn't even on the table anymore, it would genuinely mean a lot if you hit subscribe. Completely free, takes 2 seconds, and it's the only thing standing between this channel and being a level 1 threat. Level 6, the Apocalypse. Thanos isn't taking over a city or even a planet. He's auditing the entire universe and deciding, with a single finger snap, that half of all life in it needs to go, and he wins. Not symbolically, not temporarily, he actually does it on screen, and the remaining heroes need a multi-timeline heist just to attempt walking it back. He's not hiding in a mansion or running from police. He's got an army, a personal philosophy he genuinely believes is merciful. He sacrifices the one person he loves to prove it to himself, and the actual physical power to erase trillions of lives without breaking a sweat. He ran the math on universal overpopulation and solved it exactly like a middle manager solves overstaffing.
You're fired.
Half the building, gone, and he called it mercy instead of a restructuring. You don't arrest your way out of that. You don't even fight your way out of that in a straight line. It takes time travel. And finally, level 7, the absolute evil. Sauron doesn't even need a body to be a threat. Defeated once already, reduced to a literal floating eye for thousands of years, and he still nearly conquers all of Middle-earth through nothing but a corrupting piece of jewelry he mailed out into the world and waited on. He commands armies of orcs across multiple kingdoms, corrupts kings and wizards from a distance, and the only way to permanently stop him isn't an army and isn't a weapon. It's 2 hobbits, on foot, walking a ring into a volcano. Also worth noting, his entire comeback plan after getting curb-stomped at the end of the Second Age was mailing evil jewelry to strangers and hoping someone would put it on. That's not a Dark Lord strategy, that's an MLM. That's level 7. The villain doesn't even need to physically show up to nearly end an entire age of the world. There's no SWAT team for this. There's barely a fellowship for this. And that's the 7 levels. From a guy who can't get a dinner reservation right, to a Dark Lord who nearly ends an age of the world without lifting a finger.